Good evening, everyone. My name is Olivia Carroll. I'm a sophomore majoring in applied biotechnology with an emphasis in food and beverage fermentation. And I'm in the 2 p.m. section of the MIC285 lab. And I will be presenting on microscopy and taking measurements of microscopic specimens. So case study number 2. Okay, so we're going to start with a case study overview. Um, Our case study goes through the early history of microbiology and how society grew to accept the things that we could not see. So one thing to know is that, of course, people have always had an interest, or at least thought about the unknown, but did not have the curiosity or bravery to discover it or how to discover it. That was until the 19th century when Anton van Leeuwenhoek, a Dutch fabric salesman and lens crafter, began examining lake water, mold on bread, and even his own teeth with the glass lenses that he created. He would see these things he called animalcules, which were very prettily moving, which is something he said to the Royal Society of London for the Improvement of Natural Knowledge. And that's an organization that still exists today. He would submit his scientific journals with all his observations there. So, as you can see in these pictures, a lot of what Leeuwenhoek observed turned out to be algae, it's a little blurry, or biofilms, or sperm. Um, but he's also credited with viewing protozoas, bacteria, and muscle fibers. His credibility was questioned, of course, but the Royal Society of London eventually came into belief in the unseen world. Something we talked about in the microbiology class is that sperm was believed to have little babies in it. So his illustrations here, I mean, maybe he's trying to make little babies and trying to believe that's something he sees. So here's a picture of Leeuwenhoek's first microscope and a picture of a modern light microscope. So that kind of brings us to our next section, drawing connections and purpose with this case study to the bigger picture of microbiology. So it's important to recognize that in Leeuwenhoek's time, so in the 1600s, people were not easily convinced. Human life was the superior life form, and human health and life ran solely based on our decisions and maybe like some religious figures pulling the strings. So for someone to come in with glass and prove the existence of invisible life was very revolutionary and preposterous. But that propriety has built foundations in our modern medical and food practices and has even taught us a lot about the human body. Microbiology teaches us to think beyond ourselves. It shows us the things that were here long before us and the things that will be here long after us. And I think that's really cool. Something we should all learn from Leeuwenhoek is the power of curiosity and observation, how to challenge ourselves and the conventional wisdom of our societies, and perseverance. Working with the microscope in the lab, I actually went through all of these things this past afternoon. This is a paramecium floating around in algae, which I probably wouldn't have seen if I wasn't curious about it being there and if I didn't persevere through not being able to see through the ocular lens for a couple minutes. And I guess something to end this off on, I wonder what power objective that Leeuwenhoek's microscope was in. Because if he was only seeing things in like a 4x objective, he wasn't seeing any microbes any smaller than 10 micrometers or animalcules. So I think that's really interesting. Thank you for listening to my case study overview, and I hope you found it helpful.